It's our first day here in Kazakhstan and we're going to spend it completely in a train. This will be the longest train ride I have ever done and probably the longest train ride I will ever do. So I'm super excited and I'm obviously going to take you along during the whole ride. We arrived at 8 AM at Almaty 2, one of the 2 train stations in Almaty. From here we are starting our day-long train ride across Kazakhstan. And despite leaving so early in the day, the station was already packed with people heading onto the same journey as we did. We heard that the ride is quite popular and that trains fill up quickly, so we booked our ticket 1 month in advance. I don't think you need to be that early though, but since we went to Astana for the World Nomad Games, we wanted to be on the safe side. There are slow and fast trains in Kazakhstan, with the fast ones being more modern and expensive and the slow ones being the old trains from the Soviet era. On our trip through Kazakhstan we tried out both options, and while the fast trains are more convenient, I prefer the charm and the local immersion of the Soviet ones. We booked the cheapest class with beds, which ended up being an open wagon with bunk beds all over it. So you technically sleep with around 30 people in one room. You'll either love it or you'll hate it. I loved it. No matter what class you book though, you will always get clean sheets to make your own bed. We each had a little mattress and a pillow, and they also gave you a little towel, which I thought was very nice. And once we made our beds, there really wasn't much else to do. Okay, so we made it up into the bed. I hope you can hear me. I don't want to speak too loudly. There isn't much space, but it works. So it's 11 and I'm gonna go and take a nap. Streck dich mal. It's not made for tall people. On our route from Almaty to Astana, we crossed a lot of nothing. The vastness of the uninterrupted landscapes is really something to experience yourself. Huge dry grass fields reach all the way to the horizon with no buildings in sight. We even saw camels roaming around in the steppe, which was an absolute highlight for me. The train had a few stops along the way, but we mostly drove uninterrupted at 50 km/h through the country. At every stop we did do, there were sellers lined up on the platform selling mostly homemade food, snacks and drinks. I was surprised at how calm the whole journey was, considering the amount of people we shared the wagon with. Each wagon also had a little bathroom, and while it wasn't the cleanest, it also wasn't the worst I've ever seen. Just make sure you bring your own toilet paper, since they don't always have enough stocked up. Das ist eine Fotosession. As the journey continues, we got to know our bunk bed crew. By coincidence, we ended up with the only international people in that wagon. In the lower bunk bed under me slept a Pakistani who actually studied in Kazakhstan for quite some years now. In the 2 bunk beds in front of us slept a couple from Malaysia, and in the lower bunk bed under my brother slept Dina, a local woman who was pretty surprised when she realized that she would share the ride with only foreigners. Despite our troubles to communicate with her, she kept smiling throughout the whole ride, pointed out the window when something exciting showed up, and gifted all of us the most delicious apple I've ever had. And I'm not exaggerating. The apples in Almaty are really something else. We've been told that it's a city of apples since they apparently originated from here. I haven't fact-checked it, but considering the taste, I believe it. We passed the time by exchanging travel stories, sharing recommendations of places we should visit, and playing card games. The people in our area played a huge part in why this 22-hour trip across Kazakhstan was so enjoyable. Kurzes Zwischenfazit schon.
Noch geht's. Der Rücken ist schon durchgelegt. Aber macht bis jetzt noch Spaß.
Schön. Ich glaube, man versteht dich gar nicht.
Ich habe ein bisschen Angst wegen der Nacht. Nicht, dass es zu laut, zu kalt, zu warm. Ich kann es gar nicht einschätzen, was das wird.
Es bleibt spannend, könnte man sagen, an dieser Stelle. We made our last stop along the ride, and since it was almost time for dinner, we decided to check out the stalls outside. I always find it quite stressful to leave a train before the journey ends. One time I was left behind by a bus at a highway in Vietnam, but that's a different story. I pressured my brother to be quick, so we grabbed some chips and a bottle of iced tea and made our way back onto the train. Luckily, we also brought some instant ramen with us to have for dinner. Each wagon has a hot water dispenser for everyone to use. And once we had our dinner, it was time to climb up onto our bunk bed and go to sleep. It is 6:30 and as you can see, we made it to Astana. And this morning, it was all so quick. I woke up, suddenly everyone was packing up. The man came by and told us to do the bed sheets and everything, and then we were here. And now I'm a bit tired, but it's okay. The night was, as expected, okay. Not the worst, but also not the best sleep that I ever had. And now we're gonna go and find a breakfast spot because we can only check in at 2 at our hostel. We are hoping that we can do an earlier check-in because at 4 we already have plans. So yeah, hopefully they let us in, but until then we're just gonna chill at a cafe and kind of organize everything and just see what Astana is all about.